busy. I think he's watching the darts. But I think I'm just going to start this because I think it's just going to be a new thing to do during the transfer window. I feel like we've been slacking a bit with the content, with the frequency of the content. So I think I'm gonna start doing these for the January transfer window, because we all love transfer rumors. But we'll get into yesterday's because I don't know if there were that. I mean, the problem with January is that I feel like you're never going to get excited. You're never going to get the transfer targets that you. It's going to be opportunistic, isn't it? It's not going to be. It's not going to be. I don't know. Tottenham are so. It's so hard. It's so hard at the moment. But let's get into it. So Sam Johnston. How do you feel about the Sam Johnston rumours? Because I was fuming, and I get people backing it up. I do, because he's a Premier League experienced goalkeeper. But I just feel like if we went for Sam Johnston, it would just prove that nothing's changing. And we were so incompetent in the summer and not signing an established number two, that signing Johnson is almost like kicking the can down the road and worrying about it later. Because I feel like in a year and a half he's going to be exactly like Fraser Forster now, and it's infuriating. There's no future planning. There's no like forward thinking. So I was really annoyed with the Sam Johnston links, and I was really happy when Alistair Gold came out, sort of dismissed it. He didn't dismiss it. We're interested, but there's like so many more goalkeeper targets on our list, which is really promising. I think the question would be, who would you guys want as the Tottenham goalkeeper in January? Do you think we actually will get a goalkeeper this January? I think I saw something with saying the Europa League, we can only have 3 more people in the Europa League, or 3 more signings we can register. Obviously, Sam Johnston's homegrown, but do you actually think that we will go out and sign goalkeepers? And how many signings are you expecting in January? Because I'll get into that in a minute. Darren Ferron, thanks for joining. He says, don't worry, Alistair Gold says Sam Johnston is a no-goer. They're looking for a goalkeeper to loan for 1 season. That's the other thing. I think Sam Johnston, if we would get him on a loan, I would understand it, because it's almost like it's a panic because we're so we came in so unprepared, incompetence in the summer, not signing an established number 2. And Sam Johnston, he's out of favour at Wolves, isn't he? The Wolves fans hate him as well. Absolutely hate him. I do get that. I understand if it was a loan, and then in the summer we go and get more of a younger, or not younger, but just a goalkeeper that suits our style of play, because Sam Johnston ain't even that good with his feet. And it's just the same problem. Like I saw someone, I can't remember who said it. I saw someone saying it yesterday. It was like, Sam Johnston, the worry with Fraser Forster is his footwork. Sam Johnston doesn't necessarily improve on that. So is it? I mean, I know Fraser Forster is shite, and he's not that good at saving shots, but unless they're like right at him. But do we just, if it's Sam Johnston as a loan, do we just stick with Fraser Forster for another month or 2? I don't know, but let me know what you think, and let me know what goalkeepers you think we should look at, because obviously Paul O'Keefe's been saying that there's a goalkeeper from Germany that we're looking at, and that's who he's got his money on. I wouldn't even be like surprised if we didn't sign a goalkeeper. So I was about to go live last night, and I was really annoyed with the Sam Johnston rumours. I was really annoyed because it's just showing that nothing's changing at Tottenham. There's no forward thinking. But obviously, yeah, Alistair Gold sort of dismissed it. And I was really relieved. It was a bit annoying because I made a thumbnail and everything for the live. And I sort of like put it on to this morning, and so that's why I feel like I sort of owe a live on transfers, and I'm going to make this a series. So we're going to look at each transfer target from a credible source, and suggest any other targets that you think we should be looking at? Because I want to gauge your opinions as the chat. Darren Fearon, what's the scouts doing? We're looking at players who don't fit our system. Yeah, that's what I was frustrated at, because it's like Sam Johnson. It's like, it's such an opportunistic signing. It just has Spurs written all over it. So I wasn't shocked at all that we were supposedly looking at him, because we've seen it all before. It's like having deja vu. Like every January, we're so old fashioned in the way we sort of look at the January window. Because I feel like you've seen Chelsea and teams like Chelsea, they've completely broken the mold, and it's actually just another window to sort of just strengthen and carry on and sort of accelerate your process. But I feel like Spurs, we're always stuck in, okay, we're going to maybe make one signing around 30 mil. We never really go above that, do we, in January? And it just doesn't, there's no progress there, and there's no forward thinking. And whenever we delay it, and then in the summer, it's still a letdown. And we're just falling so far behind. I feel like this is, I said it about 3 months ago. I said January is a make or break for Ange, and it's make or break for Levy. And that was before, I think that was before we sort of realised how bad the summer transfer window was in terms of backing Ange. And since then, everyone's become furious with Levy. I think people were already. I think I was a bit late to it, to be honest. Completely get it, and I'm completely on board with the shift of ownership if it ever happens. But I feel like the Levy out movement is really positive in the way that the pressure he's under now to make signings ideally should kick in now, and maybe we will see sort of, because we know how reactionary Levy is. Maybe we will see a bit of, like, maybe he'll press the accelerator a little bit and start being a bit reactive. And I think that's what the Levy out movement is. I feel like that's what it could achieve. I don't see him leaving, but if we can get some signings in the door, and if it sort of causes a reaction, then that's brilliant, because Levy's not going to change it. So it's down to the fans to sort of put the pressure on and cause change. Darren says Levy is like the Christmas Grinch. We'll probably end up with loans that don't make any sense. That's the other worry, is that loans, I don't think loans benefit us at all. I know they benefit us for this season, but I can't trust Tottenham to make temporary loans, because you've seen what happened with Timo Werner last January. How bad was our January transfer window last year? And I was twerking for Dragusin. I'll put my hands up. I had, the night before we signed him, I stayed up the whole night wondering, like, whether he was going to go to Bayern Munich or Tottenham. When he chose Tottenham, I was so happy. I remember like saying it to my girlfriend, like she was trying to get to sleep, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's chosen Spurs!" I was so happy. I feel like a fucking knob, because he is it's terrible. Darren says, until our fan base realises Levy is a knob, he'll continue to get away with it. Yeah, and that's the thing. I said it before. It's like you're in a relationship and your partner keeps cheating on you. And I'm not saying this has happened to me. I mean, it might have, maybe. I don't know, but it's like being in a relationship and having your partner keep cheating on you. And the first time they keep saying they're going to change, and then you just keep letting them get away with it, and over time it's going to become so toxic, and that's the same with Spurs and Levy in a weird way. That's a shit comparison, but you know what I mean. Like, I feel like we're so done, and we've checked out of this whole relationship with Daniel Levy, and I think it's down to us to force a reaction, or to try and force him a way out for him. And obviously, there's a lot of talk about. I saw Paul O'Keefe on Last Word on Spurs saying about how he's gonna the wage structure, everything. It's looking like he's looking for an investor, but investors aren't very good either. I'll be honest. I mean, you've seen what Ratcliffe's done at Man United, Ineos, and it's just nothing's improved at all, and it's almost like a cover up. And Levy will always be there, just like the Glazers are for Man United. And nothing really changes. It's all for show. I think it's all PR. So I would be concerned there. But yeah, January, it's a good chance to to try and force some sort of a reaction from Levy and try and get some signings in. But loans, I'd be disappointed with. But let me know, would you be disappointed with loans? Loans to buy. We've seen January. We've seen how loans to buy can be effective. I mean, look at Kulusevski. He's probably one of the best January transfer windows ever. Also, what is our best January transfer window? Probably Bentancur Kulusevski, no? Darren says, how the hell did we sign Werner for the second season? Yeah, that's my fear. If we sign a lone player, there's such a... I feel like there's always a reoccurring theme with Tottenham, how we keep making the same mistakes. We always make the same mistakes. We never really learn from it. So I feel like if we got another Timo Werner in, and he fit the system, I guess, but there was still elements of him. I mean, Timo Werner last year, I was in the camp of... I rated the signing at the time because I could see how he fit the system. It was that last year. It was that Ange-esque cutback winger to winger, wasn't it? And I thought Timo Werner's perfect at that. And in the summer, I was like, I'm not happy with this, making it permanent. But if it's just an extra body in the squad and we sign another winger, then I'll be okay with it. Well, we didn't, and look where we are now. And I feel like loans, they have that risk to it. Like, we could loan someone in, and they could be good for the first couple months, and then we get a bit excited and maybe keep them on because it's opportunistic. That's why I hate opportunistic deals. But loan to obligate a loan with a fucking hell, I'm having a stroke. A loan with an obligation to buy, like a Kulusevski, could be incredible. But and that's what I'm looking at players like Matthias Tell from Bayern Munich. I'm looking at young players who are going to bring that mentality of being at a big club to Spurs. And also someone like Tell has that versatility. They could play up front, they could play on the wing, and they're looking for game time. And I feel like Tottenham, that's the perfect it's the perfect sort of opportunity for them, and they're the perfect opportunity for us. Those sort of deals, I feel like, can massively swing. I feel like our season's dead and buried, apart from the cup competitions, which is, I feel like, everyone's focus. I think we've all checked out of the Premier League, to be honest. But those are the sort of things, those are the type of signings that can swing the tides. And someone like a Matthias Tell, I know he's young and I feel like we need a bit more experience, but that could be smart because you're looking at that sort of loan structure, that loan transfer strategy that has worked for us before. But if you're looking at a player who's past their best or out of form for a short loan, like a fucking Sam Johnson or something like that, that doesn't benefit us. That really doesn't. It's just kicking the can down the road and dealing with it later. And we've done that too much, and it's caught up with us, and we've fallen behind. So we need to be on it. Some good comments. The only way to put pressure on Levy is to also dig up Big Ange. What are you trying to say? Are you Ange in or Ange out? I don't know. I don't understand. If you get loans, I'm done with the club. It'll be loans, bud. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's so typical. This is Alive and Never Catch Alive. What up, dogs? Peter Gordon, thanks for joining. Okay. The only way to read that. The only way to properly put pressure on Levy is at the same time as a fan base supporting Big Ange. Whenever Levy feels the heat, he sacks the manager. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like Ange Postecoglou. I've become really concerned over the last month. There was a comment on my last on the last episode of Daring and Doing, and it was, for me, I haven't responded to it, but I will. But it was saying, what would Ange have to do right now to sort of build that confidence for me, like back into like build that confidence in him again from my perspective. And I think it's just, do not change your philosophy, because that's what we love about it. We love the attacking way, but it's and that's what we want to see at Spurs. We want to see attacking football. Obviously, I don't think anyone wants to change his philosophy, but just make some tweaks, make some tactical tweaks. Just like the Man City game last, I think in May or April last season, Obviously, we lost, but the circumstances were so weird. And we absolutely, on another day with the fans behind us, we could have won that game. And it was actually a tactical masterclass from Ange Postecoglou. And it was so exciting because you're thinking, oh my god, like he's got such tactical flexibility. He's made a big risk. He's playing Sarr false nine or Madison false nine. He's playing a triangle midfield, Van der Ven left back, Dragusin in between Romero. And I know he can't do that right now because of injuries, but he showed he has what it takes to tweak his tactics and still have that same philosophy. And we could have won that game. We didn't. But since then, he hasn't tried anything like that since. And it's frustrating because we're getting peppered week after week after week. And I know it's injuries and I know we're holding out to February, but how do we know injury concerns aren't going to keep injuries aren't going to keep happening from now until then? We don't. So it's down to him now to sort of tweak things. And I'm not talking about philosophy. The philosophy is concrete and it's so significant. We need to keep that philosophy, but I'm talking about tweaks. But we need reinforcements, and he deserves to be backed because he was left to dry, he was left hung to dry in the summer with the window we had, and this is it now. It's make or break, and we go big on the pitch every week. We need to go big in the market. And I know January is such a hard month to do business in, but it's not impossible, and we need that. We need that reinforcement, and then and that we need that. I feel like as Spurs fans as well, we need that excitement back. Like if we make a few signings, it could be a catalyst in the mood, in the swing, and gain our mojo back because we feel so flat on our feet. The players, the fans, I think Ange as well. The demeanor is so low. Just a few exciting signings, it's so significant and it can have such an incredible impact. But we'll see. I'm not confident. But yeah, we'll have a reflection pod at the end of the window, see if we could, if there looks like there's going to be change. But I agree. I feel like the best way right now is to support Ange over anything. But Ange, I don't think Ange is helping himself either. I really don't. I think he's holding out till February and almost neglecting. I know it's he hasn't got much to work with, but a lot of what he's doing is it's kind of neglecting the now. It's like I think he's thinking it's the short term pain, long term gain, or it has to get worse for it to get better. Maybe he's making a statement, not playing Alfie Dorrington, etc. I actually agreed with that, but because he's looking at Ange and thinking he's not verbal in press conferences. He doesn't blame Levy a lot. He doesn't like give digs out to the board in press conferences. Maybe his way of doing that is just is by his team selection and our performances are proving without him saying anything that we need reinforcements. And actually, he is actually saying that we need more bodies in. So there is a bit of pressure there on the board. We used to get big names like signings like Van der Ven. Darren, no one will get big signings. People are aware how desperate we are, so we'll try to out levy Levy. He just ain't going to spend big. Yeah. Let's have a look. I missed a lot. Elijah, legend, mate. Hope you're doing well. Says big up, Will. The reality is Levy being financially smart gives us more spending power. I'm not a Levy apologist, but it's not like a new chairman or owner is going to give us more spending power. Call me crazy, but I'm still Angian. Performance against Villa, Man City, Man United, Southampton in the first half against Brighton. We are capable of looking like ballers. And that's the thing. We've had so many promising performances from Postecoglou that there is something there, and there's so many elements to get behind. It's just there's a lot of elements that we can't ignore. And I am starting to become majorly concerned, but I won't. I'm just holding out to the end of the season, and I think we should. I mean, where does it leave us if we ever got rid of Ange right now? Where would it actually leave us? The available managers right now are shite, and we're not going to poach an Iraola of Bournemouth or a Thomas Frank off Brentford. We're not going to do that, are we? they'd cost a fortune, and they're too settled right now. We're too far into the season for that, for us to do that. I think Amarin was the last one to sort of jump ship. And I just think evaluating the summer, it just gives everyone a fair. I think that's the fairest option for us. That because if we say we back Ange, say we do it in January, and nothing improves, it's very revealing, I think. And say the players come back and there's no more injuries, etc. Although I feel like the way we play, there is going to be a lot of injuries. I don't think that's I think that's a trend that's going to keep going under Postecoglou because of the way we play. When we don't have a competent backup, he's going to keep playing them, isn't he? But yeah, I feel like the fairest option is to just see it out for the season. It's going to be really painful, and then evaluate. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of these texts. I'm sorry. Peter Gordon, I'm Ange in. Levy is only giving Lange 30 mil. I'm not crazy about Ange, but how is he supposed to be back with that? That's the thing as well. It's like, first of all, can we talk about the elephant in the room? How shit is Lange? Like, genuinely, how bad is he? Because I know he's made some good signings when it comes to young talent, but Dragusin and Werner last January, his first window, that was his like statement window as well. I thought where he needs to come in and make that statement. He is terrible, like criminal. So, and I have no faith in him so far. What he did for Villa and what he's doing now, that Ange is gonna be backed. And I know Ange and Postecoglou are supposed to be quite close and sort of share the same vision, but I mean, it's not. It doesn't get you excited, does it? I mean, Solanke is a brilliant signing. We've proved that we can make good signings, just not enough. And we're left short, and that's the thing. I'm a bit pessimistic. There's a lot of conversation going on in the chat. Sorry, I'm missing it. Yeah, people are forgetting we are still in the rebuild phase, and I just hate more rebuilds. We have more projects than the ghetto. That's the thing as well. We're second season, but I think there's just a lot of red flags popping up that it just does feel a little bit terminal at the moment. I'm going to the Newcastle game tomorrow. Let me know your predictions for that game. But I'm not very confident at all. I feel like we might actually get bent over, genuinely bent over. We have to revise on Ange at the end of the season. Do you know for sure only 30 mil? Lange is horrible. Yeah, Lange keeps bringing in the wrong profile players. It's been reported, bunch of sources, journalists. So let's say we have 30 mil. What centre backs are out there on the cheap? So is it Kushinov from Lens, 20 mil rated centre back. I think he's 20 years old. He looks like a beast, and he looks perfect for the Ange Postecoglou system. But he's been linked with Newcastle, and now Fabrizio Romano last night was linking to Man City, which looks like it has legs. And I feel like even though Man City are shite at the moment, how can we compete with Man City right now? Is the Ange pool still a thing? So I don't know, but I'm not. I was a bit annoyed it's a bit annoying if Man City signed this player. I'm not going to act like I knew about him last week, but what I saw, he just looks like a perfect signing that fits the structure of the club, fits the way we play, which is the most important thing. Because some of the signings we're getting in, especially in January, like Dragusin was so desperate last year, and we signed a B-Tech version of Dyer. Like genuinely, the only thing Dyer at least has that long ping, and I'm not backing Eric Dyer. He needs to go, but then we've replaced him with someone who's literally the stylistic replica of Eric Dyer without his long passing range. Like it's ridiculous. So that's the thing. This Kushinov actually looks like a player that suits our system, and we may fall behind because obviously Man City are linked 20 mil is so realistic as well. If you're looking at January funds, I mean, you could have a loan with an obligation to buy for an attacker, um, a left back, a centre back for 20 mil, and goalkeepers. If you're looking for a competent backup goalkeeper, what are you thinking? 15 mil? Like, we don't need to spend. What I'm saying is, we don't need to spend ridiculous on a singular player, but 20 mil is a bargain in this day and age. And let's not pretend we don't have it. Like, of course we have that money. Of course we do. And uh, if we can sign 3 to 4 players or 3 players worth 15, 20 mil, nothing over 30 mil at least, that's realistic. No, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic because it's not going to happen. We're dealing with Spurs. But is that not? Is that not? I mean, is that not too much to ask? Do you know what I mean? It's not. That's not. As fan bases, we are realistic. We've been through so many transfer windows as fan bases, with Tottenham, to know what we're capable of and what we do and don't do. And I feel like we could do that, but I just don't have any hope. If you know what I mean, I'm sort of, I feel dead inside, and I think the majority of the fan base feel the same way. But there are a lot of left backs available in the market. I think left back's priority. I think a centre back is a priority. I mean, they're talking about a makeshift left back, centre back. I mean, who the fuck can do that? I know a lot of people love David Hanko. He'd be quality, but I don't know how much he'd cost. We need a bit of experience. He's left footed, 26, I think, 26, 27 from Feyenoord, leader in the Feyenoord dressing room. He would be really good, and he's got a bit of pace. He'd fit that high line. And it's a signing with bit of contingency to it, because say it doesn't work out with Ange Postecoglou, we've got a really, really competent backup left-sided centre back, which it can only benefit us. So I think we need a backup goalkeeper, a left back, a centre back, and then just an attacker. And I'm expecting loans. I just don't want a temporary loan, because that doesn't help us in the slightest. It just doesn't. I've got to go. I'm gonna go in about 5 minutes, Ron, because me and my girlfriend are making chicken burgers, which I'm getting a bit hungry. I'm starting to salivate. Also, not gonna make any marquee signings until we sell players in the summer. I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised. I saw Billy Price. Hey, Will, I'm at the game too tomorrow. I'm first spirits to the South Stand tomorrow. What can go wrong? I've never been in the South Stand. Yeah, I mean, what could go wrong? I think a lot of things can go wrong. Isak in the form he's in. Anthony Gordon. Jed Spencer's back. Anthony Gordon, Jed Spence battle. Might be quite good. Spurs always shocks us at this time. We expect to be bent over. Spurs 3-1 tomorrow. Mate, I'd give my third nut for a 3-1 tomorrow. We need multiple players, but at most it's going to be 2. Yeah, I feel like the same. Need a left back / left centre back, a right winger, midfielder, goalkeeper, striker. Won't be addressed until the summer, most likely. Yeah, I feel like a winger, a right winger, marquee right winger, a number 6. They're definitely ones for the summer, 100%. Maybe we could go for. It depends on outgoings, I guess, in the summer. But I'd expect us at least to make those 2 signings. I fucking love like Mbuemo. I would. His contract's running out. I feel like it'd be so good. Like, I just love. I know he doesn't really suit the system, but I just love direct wingers. And he's the right age profile, price range, etc. He'd be quality. But second season, and we sold too many players. Didn't bring in enough with Europe. Who's our director of football? Because our squad build has been schoolboy. Johan Lange, even without injuries, squads were too small. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and I'll say before, I mean, this the way we play would break David Goggins. So, are we surprised we've got so many injuries? Dragusin will be a good centre back, mate. Dragusin could be a really good centre back if we still had Conte or Mourinho, Nuno. Like, if he was protected, the centre of a back 3 in a low block, he could be really good. Mate, in the Euros, I was watching the Romania game. I had to put a pillow on my lap. Not only because he's a good-looking guy, but because his defending was a throwback, mate. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like a one man defense. He was insane. And I remember talking to Ben about doing a Dragusin video in the summer on how he's going to explode this season. And I'm so happy. I made the thumbnail, and I think it was Dragusin celebrating the Romania kit, and he had this dragon behind him because like Dragusin. Um, Mate, Ben would have lost all his TikTok followers if he posted that, if he uploaded that video. I genuinely feel like all his ball knowledge would be dismissed. In the end, he didn't. He must have had a hint. He must have had something because Ben's ball knowledge is ridiculous. And if he'd done that, it would have caused a lot of people to sort of second guess Ben's knowledge. I think. The atmosphere is not what it used to be. The fans are so nervy. They only make noise when the trumpet plays and when we score. My biggest issue with Ange is his lack of rotation and not giving the youth a shot more often. If we're doing a proper rebuild, let's see what the kids have in them. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Dorrance is a bit different with centre backs. Mate, I just think centre backs is it's the most vulnerable defensive line or defensive structure in the league, and you've thrown in a young centre back. I weren't surprised you weren't going to just put Dorrington in it. I know Dorrington's had a lot of injuries as well, and if he's playing in that, if he jumps straight into that intensity, he probably would get injured as well, and that'd be the worst thing for him. I wasn't surprised that he sort of forced Dragusin back, but if Dragusin had a long term injury, we'd have to play Dorrington anyway. So I get both sides. Would love Dorgu, and then even with a lone back, yeah, he looks unreal. Then he looks so good. Ange needs a big squad to make his style work, and Levy won't allow it because of the wage bill. And I agree, and that's the thing. It's almost like he's being set up to fail. And I feel like a lot of people say trust this process. This is the first phase, etc. But do we have confidence that he will be backed? And if he's because he was left to dry in the summer, so that's the frustration. It's like I do not want to go through another rebuild, but there's no optimism there at all, is there? Get centre back, left back, Archie Gray, cover midfield, goalkeeper. Thanks for making me hungry. Sorry. All right, I want to talk about the Newcastle game tomorrow. Then, don't let your girl hear those comments about Dragusin. Yeah. Don't let my girl look at Dragusin. That's what. As soon as Dragusin's on the TV in his Spurs shirt, I want to turn the TV off anyways because he's shite. But I don't want my girlfriend seeing him because my self-esteem would drop so low if my girlfriend saw him. He is like a he is a bit of a Greek god, isn't he? Even though he's Romanian, like a genetic freak. He just makes you annoyed. Like I look in the mirror and I just get annoyed. But let's talk about Yang Min Hyuk. What's your expectations before we finish on Yang Min Hyuk? How much of an impact do you think he's going to make in this second half of the season? He is technically our first incoming in January. I saw a highlight reel of him earlier, and it was fucking insane. He looked like the second coming of Brian Hill when Hill was at Sevilla or whoever we bought him from. It was Sevilla, wasn't it? He's been on so many loans, Brian Hill. All the kits he's worn sort of like merge into one. Yeah. So Yang Min Hyuk, I hope he's on the bench for Newcastle. I mean, I don't think we really have a choice because of the amount of players that are out. He must be on the bench for Newcastle. Andrew's comments, he was sort of playing him down, which is understandable. I don't expect him to have an impact at all. I actually think he's going to be an incredible player, but I feel like his physicality and his size. Yeah, Peter Gordon, he's very lightweight, needs a season to bulk. I would not be shocked. I'm saying it now. I think he's going to be loaned out in the summer. I think these next 6 months. They're gonna be good to sort of see. It's gonna be a good sort of exercise to sort of see his technical level in the Premier League, his speed, because I think there's a bit of comparison with him and Brian Hill when we signed Brian Hill. But one, Yang Min Hyuk's calves look a lot bigger than Brian Hill. Yeah, fucking hell. I need to. The way I'm talking about Spurs players. Yeah, I do hope my girlfriend don't hear any of this. What I mean is, he's quite lower body heavy, He's got a slight frame, but his legs look strong, and I feel like he has that burst of acceleration that Brian Hill didn't, and that's a good foundation to build upon in the Premier League if you're an 18-year-old winger, because a lot of weak players can make it in the Prem if they have that burst, if they have that power, and that spring. When he's dribbling, he can accelerate quickly away from players. So that's promising. But I do think he will need a loan. And I'm thinking a loan maybe in the Bundesliga or something, somewhere where you could be technical. That'll suit his game style, his style of play. Bundesliga, you get a range of counter-attacking football and breaking down low blocks. You get that, and I can just see him ripping it up in the Bundesliga. Don't forget, Son started his career in the Bundesliga. Okay, he moved from Korea to Hamburg, then was picked up by Leverkusen. When he came to Spurs, he was pretty much ready for the Premier League. He had a season of sort of adjusting, and then he exploded. And Hyuk, I can see a loan being the best option for him. Let's see how he does in his 6 months. We might need to rely on him, but I don't have a lot of it. Like I don't have a lot of hope that he'll hit the ground running, just because who expects him to? Who actually expects that? But let's see if he's on the bench at Newcastle. Let's see how he does. I mean, Livramento and Hall are unbelievable fullbacks in the form of their lives, so it'll be a big test. Do you remember when he absolutely pulled Emerson Royale's pants down in pre-season? So maybe he has what it takes. But then I reckon my nan could pull Emerson Royale's pants down, and she died in the summer. His frame is bigger than Brian Hill. He will be able to bulk. Yep. Don't concentrate on guys' calves. Yeah. We'll probably bring Solomon back from loan. That's our big signing. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Levy is such a cheap bastard. He's looking for someone that is rotting in the reserve somewhere. But yeah, I think that's the perfect way to sort of wrap it up. First one of the transfer window, like series. I don't know what to call this. I'm just going to call it Tottenham transfers. Not much to talk about. I mean, it's the third. Did anyone expect to sign him by now? But I feel like it's been a bit of a moan, to be honest. But Yang, something to look for. Johnston, I'm really happy we're not going for him, because that would have been frustrating. And then Kushinov is one I feel like we would really regret not signing, because how many centre backs out there for a reasonable price suit Ange Postecoglou's system? You've seen with Romero, and you've seen with Van der Ven. They're unicorns, both of them, or especially Van der Ven. It's so hard to find that right fit for the Postecoglou system. So Kushinov could have been that. If we don't sign him, I don't think we will now. If Man City are beating around the bush for him, I don't know. Yeah, quickly, good chat, guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for getting involved. I'm going to respond to the podcast comments in a minute. Quickly, get your score predictions in for tomorrow. 3-2 Spurs tomorrow, says Matthew Sapala. No reason behind it. Let's go, boys. And that's the thing. I feel like it's blind faith at the moment. I would love a win. I mean, obviously, I'll be there. Just not expecting anything. I'm not. Don't wrap it up that way. We're going to batter Newcastle tomorrow. Mark words 3-2. 3-2. A lot of 3-2s. Come on, you Spurs. Everyone, legends, thank you so much for joining. You've been great. Up the Spurs. And we'll be back. Me and Ben will be back to react to the Newcastle game in a couple of days. Legends.